Hello, hello. We're back for another amazing episode this week. I have Elizabeth Carrington in the house. Elizabeth, hey, hey.
Hello.
We go way back. We've known each other for so many years. And we were talking and I said, oh my God, Elizabeth, you are an erotics blueprint expert. I just mentioned erotic blueprints on our last episode. Would you come on and chat with us? And what did you say, Elizabeth?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. There's nothing like learning about our pleasure and learning how to maximize our pleasure, how we're wired, and how to have better intimacy with partners. It's a big topic, especially for women that are starting over and starting in new relationships. So let me tell you a little bit about Elizabeth. Elizabeth Carrington is a master coach, intimacy coach, facilitator, and healer with 25 years of contribution in the personal and professional transformation field. Elizabeth's purpose is to empower women to strengthen their vision and summon their courage to create what they deeply desire so they can create a life that feels joyful, authentic, and free. Elizabeth has a knack for helping people identify and remove the obstacles, seen and unseen, that block their joy, passion, and freedom. And Elizabeth is most alive when she's inviting people to come out and play in new and creative ways. You want to go out and play in new and creative ways with me today?
Yes, please.
Oh my God. I interview a lot of people with a lot of topics, but I got to say my favorite topic is about pleasure, intimacy, and how to have more of it in a healthy, more dynamic way, because we have not been taught that. We haven't been taught a lot of things, but we really have not been taught about this. And in this age range, with women that are starting over after 40, especially after menopause, and not really knowing how they're wired and not really knowing how to communicate what's going on inside of them and what actually brings them pleasure. It's like, it's a shit show. People are missing out on so much. And so I would like to start with erotic blueprints. Like, can you just share a little bit more? Because we just had Dr. Carey on last week and we talked just a little bit about it. Can you dive in a little bit more about what is erotic blueprints overall? And then we'll just keep on going.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. Good to be here with you, Junie.
Oh, so good to see you. This is so great.
Thank you. Erotic Blueprints is a framework. It's a framework for understanding how we're wired erotically in the same way that the love languages, which most people are familiar with, there's also 5 of those, helps us understand how we feel loved and helps us understand that the way you feel love isn't the way I feel loved. It's the same in the bedroom, turns out. Turns out most of us are very busy giving what we want to receive. We're giving what we want to receive.
Ooh, so
and the
true.
Other person is doing the same thing. Hello.
Oh my God, take that in. Take that in, like yeah. Just that. And it's not even just the bedroom. That's what we do in general. We give, we compliment when we want to get the compliments. We nurture when we want somebody to go, hey, do you need a hug? And we're talking about intimacy here. So yeah, we give what we want to receive. Woo, huge.
Yeah. It's just a setup for a big, painful mismatch. And until we know that thing that I just said and have a framework to help understand it better, then we're kind of lost. And if we're lucky, we may have a little bit of fun in the bedroom, but the type of connection and rawness and realness and true, authentic connection that we all crave is not available until we know how we can, especially as women, right? How to ask for what we want. That was not a class in any school I went to. In fact,
no, not a class in any way. Again, this is not just about intimacy in the bedroom. It's across the board. We have not been taught that. What
Right.
do we want? What brings us joy? And
Right.
today we are talking about pleasure.
We are, and pleasure, and how good can we stand it? It's like we're just like trying to get a little drop, It's like, oh, I just want to feel a little better. Let me have a cup of whatever, It's like, what if your whole day was a series of experiences of sensuality and aliveness and pleasure and connection to yourself, no matter what you were doing? That's what I'm going for. And I'm not there yet by any stretch, but I have chunks of time that I'm able to sustain that now. And part of that is knowing what is it that brings me alive. And I'm telling you, I spent so much time frustrated, angry, disappointed with former partners because they don't get it. Like it was just a constant,
Yeah,
my head was just saying, I'll never get what I want. Forget it. Just
I
don't
know.
bother.
Yeah, yeah, so much energy, so much disappointment. And it's tricky because if we share what we want, and I know this has happened for me, and I'm nowhere near there either. I'm still working this out with my own sexual journey as well. If we share with a partner, I really like this, or can you do more of this? Sometimes, depending on how you say it and when you say it, your partner can feel like they're disappointing you. They feel
Mm.
like they're not showing up for you. And then things really go sideways. And so what I love about the erotic blueprints is not only are you learning about how you're wired, but it's also learning about how they're wired and being able to have a conversation so you guys can see how to actually give to the other what they need and want and desire. Do I have that right?
You absolutely do. Absolutely do. And
Yeah.
the truth is that most of us are starving for what we want. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of pent up frustration with
Yeah.
both people usually, because either one is totally capitulating and not honoring their boundaries and just giving the other person what they know they want, which isn't a
Yeah.
good thing either, right?
Yeah.
It's just a recipe for two people feeling very separate in an area that is designed inherently to be connective. So another
Uh,
paradox, right?
I know. I sometimes look up at spirit and go, what the fuck?
Cosmic joke that I'm not
Yeah,
getting.
it's a total cosmic joke. And it is so disappointing. And as the decades go by, a lot of women are thinking, well, maybe I should just accept it. This is as good as it's going to get. And I
Mm,
love what you said before, which is how good can you stand it? So
mm.
here's this body of work. And I would actually like to take a step back and ask you, how did you come upon this work and what drew you to it? And why is it so important for you to share it?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. Let me see.
That's my job. Give you a few questions.
Yes, do it. Do it, do it, do it. So yeah, I think it was a bit of grace. The erotic blueprints came into my inbox one day, and I get all kinds of, as we all do, lots of different things come into our inbox, and most of them I just delete, 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 delete. But I saw erotic blueprints and I was like, that is just too good not to click on. And I did a quick little, quiz, which we can offer people at the end, but I did a quick quiz and I learned very tiny little bit around my style. And I was just like, wait a minute. Are you telling me that my whole life, this thing that I thought was weird about me, that I couldn't get no satisfaction, from the way I was being touched, the way I was being connected with, you're telling me it's just a little bit of a blurb in somebody's erotic blueprint quiz? I was just
Yeah.
beside myself.
Yeah.
And it sort of went from there. It was like, okay, if this is normal, I'm learning about my style, then I can start to ask for what I want in a clearer way. And I just was like, it was 10 minutes. I was on a plane out to study with Jaya, who's the inventor of them.
She's
I was like,
amazing. I
I'm
love
a
her.
coach. I've done all the training. I don't need any more coach training, I thought to myself. And then I heard about the blueprints and that she was doing a coach training. And I'm like, sign me up,
Oh,
because whatever this is, it's a needle mover in my life. And just how I'm wired is, if it moves the needle for me, I want to share it with everyone I know. And I
100%.
just empowering women is my jam. So I'm like, where are women least empowered in our lives? Where? Really?
Yeah.
With our voice and with our pleasure. And those
Ah,
two things are connected. So
Oh,
this
so good.
matrix, right, gives you some kind of power to say, here it is. This is my blueprint. This is what it means. You can educate yourself first, right? I was like
Yeah.
educating myself at 45. I was like, well, it's good time for me to start learning what my body really likes, right? It's never too late. So I've been
Mm.
exploring and expanding ever since, but it's because of this foundational understanding that made all the difference.
Absolutely. Oh, I had the same experience. I don't remember how I came upon Jaya's work. It was just, oh, I need to know this. And I remember exactly where I was. I was in Sedona at a retreat and I was listening to some audio of hers. I don't know, again, I don't know where it came from, but I remember hiking. I even remember the trail and I was hiking along this river, listening to this. And I'm like, that's me. No, that's not me. That's
Mm,
me. Like there's 5 main blueprints and it was mind blowing.
mm,
And it's not only just, and I love the word blueprint because it's a map. It's a
mhm,
map to really understanding how you're wired. And if you know the map to your own pleasure and you know the map to your partner's pleasure, you can then share your maps and go, hey, look at this,
yeah,
because, and I know I've told lovers this before where I'm like, are you open to hearing a little bit about how I tick? And I got to tell you, most men, unless they're very insecure, most men are going to be like, are you kidding me? You're going to actually tell me? I don't have to figure it out and work so hard. I'm like, yeah, no, I can really tell you. So this
yeah,
work is precious. I'm wondering if you can kind of go over a little bit of the blueprints. Is that something you
yeah.
can do for us?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to just say one more thing, which is when the synchronicity of the timing of these was when I got separated and eventually divorced. And I was sort of like, okay, I've had this whole experience of being married and sexual and that kind of feeling like it just kind of got less and less, energized. And then the blueprints were like a rebirth. It was like a midlife rebirth of,
Yeah.
oh, something else is possible. And now I have the map of the territory. And so I just want to say for women that are thinking, oh, maybe it's hopeless. Maybe I can't figure this out. It's like, no, I'm telling you, as a repressed Catholic girl, what every message I got was shame and, and
Yeah.
pleasure is bad and wrong. If I can overcome that, you can too. There's
Thank you
so
for
much.
saying that because there's so much shame around what our bodies have done or haven't done around orgasm, around being able to really open and enjoy all the messages we've gotten about how we are and how we're supposed to be. And
Mm,
it's limited us and it's
mhm,
robbed us of so much. And when we can drop into our pleasure and own our sexuality and be able to connect with another person in that empowered way,
mm.
doors open and it is never too late. I always tell people that I didn't have, I don't know if I told this on a podcast yet, but like, hey, I don't
Here we
really
go.
hold anything back, but I always used toys. I never was able to have an orgasm without a toy until my 40s. And then it was like, one day I was like, you know what? I got to figure this out. And then it was the journey began. The
Mm,
journey began because it was like,
mm,
whoa, what
yeah,
else is here for me? And this
yeah.
particular body of work is phenomenal. And I do want to say one more thing, which is there's this series on Netflix called
Mhm,
Sex, Love, and Goop with Gwyneth Paltrow, which is phenomenal. And Jaya does a whole bunch of things in that series. And there was this one couple that I'll just give you the cliff notes, which is they didn't know this work and
mhm,
they were having a really challenging time communicating their needs. They didn't understand how their bodies were working. And then suddenly, because there was so much love between them and such commitment, they both started experiencing something so deep, so profound that they never thought was possible. It was like they didn't know that fine dining existed. They
mm,
were eating at McDonald's
mhm.
all these years. So why don't you give us a snapshot of the
Okay,
5 main blueprints?
will do. So starting with the energetic. So the energetic blueprint type is turned on by anticipation and tease and space and longing and that sense of like a spiritual connection going on between the lovers. And they are most inclined toward tantric kind of sacred sexuality. They can have orgasms without even being touched. They're so sensitive and so attuned to energy. They can feel across the room if somebody is turned on by them and they're reaching out to them energetically. So they're very, very sensitive. There also can be a challenge, of course, because they are very accustomed to giving other people what they want because they're so empathetic and attuned to others, right? Which is a gift, but also can be a challenge. So setting boundaries with others can be a big challenge for energetics. And so a lot of energetics find themselves on down the road in relationships saying, well, how come I'm not getting what I need? And, but they haven't learned to really ask for it. So they have the most difficult time of all the blueprints, setting limits and asking for what they really need. And each blueprint has a shadow. This is a very dynamic and complex system, but even the tiny little top line that I'll give you is still informative, and it's a starting place just to understand, the different territories, so the challenge with the shadow with the energetic is that they can be very critical because they want that deep presence, soulful, spiritual connection. That's what they're looking for. And when somebody is just wanting simple sex or something, they can be judgmental and critical. And that can be a challenge.
Let me hide right now.
I'm with you.
That sounds familiar.
I am with you. Yes. So yeah, they can be incredibly attuned creatures of energetic exploration and other realms of energy. And also they can get incredibly overstimulated because their system can get flooded if they don't say, I need to take a breath. I need a pause, back off. I feel smothered. Give me a little space, and this does not make any sense to somebody that is not an energetic. If you're an energetic right now, you're going, oh my God, yeah, okay. And they love that like light fingertip touch that just totally turns their whole body on. Somebody else is like, that tickles me, stop that, right? So another example of how different we are. That was my breakthrough. It's like, that touch, you do that to me, I'm all yours in 5 minutes.
Totally.
You don't do that to me, you can't get me going. But if you don't teach somebody how to do that, to be present in their touch, right? How do you know? So this was a breakthrough in just the type of touch in and of itself, the energetic. So that's the energetic. The next one is the sensual. They are like the artists of romance, and they like beautiful music and luxury and flowers and oils and delicious foods. All the senses come alive for the sensual. They'll take a moment to clear up the space. They'll take a moment to put a little flower or a little diffuser on, or put the right music that just sets the right mood. The people that can choose the right music for the mood, and other people are like, what the heck? That's so annoying. So the sensuals just have that, they can have orgasms from food gasms and mountain gasms. And, they just are so sensually alive. Their challenge is that they can get trapped in their head. So if it's not quite right, if the music isn't right, if there's something on the floor, if the window is streaked, whatever it is, they can get,
that's tricky.
Getting out of their heads is a challenge. And little tip there, blindfolding a sensual is a wonderful way to help them get into their body. With permission, if they're willing. That shuts down their like outer sensors, right?
Smart. Nice.
Yeah. So that's the sensual. The sexual is next, and the sexual blueprint is what we traditionally think of as sex in this country, which is penetrative sex. It's orgasms, it's focused on a result, it's going somewhere. There's no like zigzagging the journey. It's like, we're going to get an orgasm, and that's what successful sex looks like. So sexuals are very playful and light about sex. They're actually like incredibly fun to be with because it's not a complicated, you don't have to touch them a certain way, just right.
The room doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to have a certain scent. It's like, let's go for it. Let's have some fun.
That's what they do. We just want to fuck. Stand up, sitting down, in the shower, over the counter. It's all good. The body works. You do slot A into slot B, and you're happy.
Boom, baby.
They are super fun to be with. And their challenges, of course, is that it's just not always a straight path. And sometimes you need a little bit of the, the adventure and the journey. And sometimes you need a little time in touch land. And if you're with a sensual partner, you need to pause and let them make the space the right way so they are not in their heads and they can enjoy the ride too. And so being attuned and sensitive to other styles and being willing not to just think everyone wants it the same way as me, which is just
Yeah.
to get to it, you know.
Mhm.
So that can be a good growth edge and an opportunity for them to learn. But sex is, for sexuals, sex is like breathing. If they're not having sex regularly, they shrivel up. They are not their full selves. I mean, it's a really important matter in their body and their being. And then, of course, we have the kinky. And kinky is pretty much anything that's out of your ordinary realm, you know, anything that feels a little naughty or a little, you know, wicked. So that can be changing positions. It can be going out into nature and finding a trail and going off the trail. You know, that can be very naughty to some people. To other people, not so much. But, you know, out of your comfort zone is in kink land. And so there's psychological kink that's turned on by, you know, playing games and power games and telling little fantasies to each other and, you know, turning each other on in that way. And then there's more of the physical, you know, sensational kink, which can be more ropes restraining you and, or something around your neck, or, you know, there's all kinds of ways to play with spanking and flogging and but that's a physical sensation. And for many people, that gets them in their body in a way that they are so much more alive and their cells are vibrating, you know. So kink is a whole universe of play and exploration.
Yeah.
The shadow of the kinky is shame. Kinky often is in the shadows in our culture. You know, it's just like relegated to, oh, that, you know, there's judgment, there's confusion. I would never do such a thing to my partner, like it's an act of disrespect. It's not. It's consensual. It's, you know, it's discussed. It's all on the up and up. But, you know, people make up judgments. So people have a lot of shame to like heal before they really come out in that way as, yes, I'm a kinkster. I love, you know, whatever it is they love. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the kinky blueprint. And then finally, drum roll, please, we have the shapeshifter. And the shapeshifter is like a gourmand of pleasure and all the different varieties.
I'll
like
take one of those, one of those, one of those, one of those.
Exactly. So robust in their ability to experience pleasure. And, you know, I always say that I think that we're all closet shapeshifters, and it doesn't necessarily mean you should be. It just means that with enough exploration, with enough safety, with enough experiences that are in your comfort zone and start to expand it a little bit, who wouldn't want to have all the things? Who wouldn't? And it's not a judgment if you don't want them right now, because I wasn't a shapeshifter to start. I grew into that. But I've seen
it makes
enough
sense.
people...
Again, using the food metaphor, it's like, you know, you might love McDonald's, you might love the burgers, you might love whatever restaurant is your favorite restaurant. But if you learn that there are other tastes around, you might want to explore that. And before you know it, you're like, oh, I actually do like that. And oh, I really can drive across town and experience that as well. And so there is something of an exploration and trying things on and living into it. I agree with you. So it's a full palette, you know?
It is. It is definitely. And it's a little intimidating and scary to some people, and that's okay. But with the safety of a contained, you know, safe relationship or a person that you trust deeply, you can dip your toe in different places. And shapeshifters starve if they don't have a lot of the things in different, different times. They want this much, this, that, 2 hands, 4 hands, 10 hands. I mean, you know, you can really expand a lot in this blueprint, your nervous system's capacity to receive pleasure. And I think that's part of what it is. Our nervous systems are like this. And then somebody says, oh, blueprints, and there's more, and my partner, this, that, and it's like, oh, really? There's another, oh, and then there's that, and you know, so yeah,
Oh,
Shapeshifter is a beautiful thing. They're often told that they're too much, or they, you know,
yeah.
they've been judged by wanting too much or thinking that they should deserve too much. And that's something that they just have to get over and heal from, that idea that no, this is a beautiful thing. Thank God we have shapeshifters to show us what's possible, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I love
yeah.
that. So good. I'm so appreciative of your knowledge and how you brought in the shadow side of it as well, because, you know, we don't want to just make it look like, oh, this is the one and this is the best thing. And, you know, we're human beings and we have been
Mm,
shamed. We have been led to believe certain things. And I'm really grateful that you're bringing in that. And the challenge is here. And the challenge
mhm,
is that, because it is only a challenge, then we can shine a light on it and own it and enjoy it so much more. You know, one of the other
that's right.
things that when I was studying the blueprints, because what you just, I just really also want to just honor the heck out of you right now, because you were so clear. I just loved your
Mm,
description of all five of them. You did an amazing job. And so I just
mm,
want to just say to the soul sister that's listening right now, imagine you're wired, let's just say, to be an energetic, and you start dating a sexual.
mm,
That can be really challenging. He might go in for the, hey, I want to have some just straightforward sex. And you're like, I need the spaciousness. I need the energetic play, or vice
mm,
versa, of course, you know, and the same thing, you know, oh, I want the, you know, the erotic kinky, but you're wanting to set the mood and have it be slow and sensual. And they're going to be like, you know, no, tie me up, or, you know, so there's something to be said about honoring your path and learning their path, and then finding a way to talk about it. So we only have
mm,
a couple more minutes left, and I'm just
mm,
curious, what's like one tip for that? I mean, that could be just another whole
mm,
episode, which I think we really might want to
mhm.
consider doing sooner than later.
Yeah.
How to take what you know about yourself and venture into that conversation with somebody that might be wired differently, so that you get your
Mm.
needs met, they get their needs met, and you actually can have that intimacy. How do you do that? What do you suggest?
Yeah. I have a quick crazy idea and then another serious idea. The crazy idea is I have a friend who is a fellow coach and a erotic blueprint coach as well. And she put the quiz on her dating profile and said, if you want to date me, I want to learn about your blueprint. And
Oh, love
men
it.
were crazed. They loved it. Anything that's focused around tell me more about sex and pleasure and fun. Like, it was just so cool. I don't know that everyone, I never did that, but you know, she had the courage to do it, and kudos to her. So that's just
I
one
love
wild
that.
idea.
And since you're mentioning the quiz, I'm sure they're thinking, where's the quiz? So
Yep.
eroticblueprints.com. Definitely go take the quiz, learn about yourself, and study. And we have some other golden nuggets coming up still. So just wanted to put that out there. Erotic Blueprints, that's what we're talking about.com. Okay, so that
Yeah.
was the first one. And wow, 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 wow. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. I mean, the other one is just straight up transparent, open. Hey, you know, I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. I'd like to share this cool thing that I just came across that's been like so intriguing to me. It's called the Erotic Blueprints. I
Yeah.
can't imagine any person that wouldn't be like, hmm, you know, and I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I learned about myself. And if you're open to it, I think it would be great dinner conversation to hear about yours as well. Are you open? You know, just
Yeah.
really, I mean, isn't this about learning about how to communicate and be in relationship and see how they are, right? With
Yeah.
these kinds of conversations, what a wonderful layup to an initial date, you know?
Amazing. And it is about conversation, and it is, you know, intimacy is into me, see, letting somebody know really how you're wired. I will say, as a love coach, that this, you know, you can certainly have this conversation on a first date or put it in your profile. And typically this is probably something you want to wait for. It depends on who you are and how you are. There is no right or wrong way to do this. With that said, I hear so many women say, gosh, if you put too much sex, that's all they want. And
Right.
men do want sex, but so do we. And if we really want to have those deep conversations and to be able to connect in this really authentic, beautiful, revealing way, we need to get a foundation down first. We need to get to know each other. So my humble suggestion is this may not be the first thing you talk about on a first date, unless it's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
something
totally.
really important to you.
100%.
But I also, I'm going to be writing my profile soon. I just shifted from my partnership into a different dynamic. And I'm like, what would I like to write? Because it's really important to me to have somebody moving forward that can really be open to exploration. And it's like, and
Yeah.
I've already been thinking that it's like, what do I write in my profile that says, I really am looking for someone who wants to explore the boundaries of all the flavors of sexuality without making it look like all I want is sex. So there's some finesse here. And that's why people work with me, is how to finesse. And that's why people work with you too, specifically around intimacy and all the other golden nuggets you have. So with this, I would love for you to share more about how they might reach out to you and get some more support around this huge topic.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can find me on, there'll be a link in the notes. If you're interested in connecting and seeing if this path of exploration for you is timely. If you're coming out of a relationship and you want to kind of reboot and start a new, fresh look at what would it be like to be in an intimate relationship with somebody and feel really fulfilled and satisfied and feel powerful, like those are the kinds of questions I was having when I was getting separated. Like, what? How do I do this differently, the next time? So yeah, I've been coaching for 27 years. I work with individuals and couples in the realm of intimacy because it's such a juicy territory of where we long to be and connect and feel good. And, all that pleasure, we all want more pleasure. We all want more freedom and joy. And, it's like, so, and sex is such a metaphor for that. That's a microcosm of how we show up in our lives, So yeah, if people are interested in taking the quiz and then booking a 30-minute call with me, the basic way I work is we understand your style. We go through a process of understanding exactly what your blocks are to intimacy. And I mean exactly what your blocks are to intimacy: specific emotions, specific beliefs, specific history. We clear that out of the way with these energetic clearing tools that I use. And then you have a different orientation toward your body, toward your erotic beingness,
Yeah.
So yeah.
No more settling, no more thinking this is as good as it's going to get. Elizabeth is
Right.
offering you a free 30-minute consultation, and her link for that consultation is going to be listed in the notes. So definitely want to encourage you to take the quiz and then reach out to her, because then you can really find out what's going on and how to make this next step the best ever. So it's an intimacy exploration session, and I encourage you to check it out. I can't believe there's so much here. I'll be also be honest, with the listeners and the people that are watching. Typically, I have some questions to ask. I have my notes here. I'm like, oh, we're just gonna talk about this. This topic just flows. And Elizabeth, you've been amazing. You're so clear and such an amazing teacher. Anybody that works with you would be really blessed to have time with you. So beautiful gift. Thank you for your message. This is such an important message about what's possible in pleasure and intimacy. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, Junie. Be well.
Oh, you too, honey. And everybody, this is the first step. This is your next step. I'm opening to a new chapter. How do you want it to be? And it could be so many different flavors. And this is a huge piece. So I invite you to sit with this. I hope you took some notes and reach out to her. And that's it for our episode today. If you haven't subscribed and liked, please do share this with your friends. I bet you there's at least one of your friends that needs to have this message about what this Erotic Blueprints is about and what's possible for them. This is a topic that we all need to share with our girlfriends. So please share away, and I will see you next week. Mwah.